So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll apologize in advance. There might be some movement in and out of here. And then people are still eating, so kind of ignore that as well. We're just happy to have you join us today. And I'll let you provide your own introductions here.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. Thanks for everyone who's there. My name is Mary Weir. I'm the program coordinator for Freedom Education Project Puget Sound. TESC is a nonprofit that provides a college program that leads to an Associate of Arts and Sciences here at WCCW, and 3 of our students are here on the panel. Unfortunately, the executive director of TESC, Tanya Erzin, who's a Soros Fellow and a professor at the University of Puget Sound, had a family emergency, so I'm here in her place. But just as a little bit of background, TESC is a nonprofit. We were founded in 2012. We currently have about 80 students who are working towards their AA, and all of these folks are in our class of 2017. So they have completed all of their college level work inside the Washington Correctional Center for Women and will be graduating in just 2 very short years.
Hi, my name is Gail. I am very passionate about education. I got locked up 20 years ago in May when I was 15, and I received a 50-year sentence. So I came directly to WCCW at the age of 16, and at the time, they didn't have any programs for juveniles. After I'd been here like a year, they had started a program where we could receive our diplomas, but once I turned 18, because of my long sentence, I was no longer allowed to pursue education. So it really kind of, I don't know, it was something I always wanted to do, and then watching my sister go to college and learn from her experiences, I just got into a lot of trouble. I wasn't able to find who I was as a person. I got lost in the system. Well, then like 4 years ago, oh, I can't believe I'm getting emotional already. It's okay. Well, like 4 years ago, that's the Freedom Education Project started doing volunteer college classes. So I started going to those, and they opened up my mind in a way that it's forever changed me. So they started getting me to see like what's going on in our economy, how we're a product of society and issues that are going on in the world that I was never aware of. And then we eventually started getting credit for the classes, and I've been pursuing the education ever since. So I'm really passionate about bringing awareness to juveniles and the need for higher education. And so that's me.
My name is Star Lake. I was incarcerated when I was 16 years old. I received a 40-year prison sentence. Like Gail, I came straight to WCCW. I was in the same school. Gail, we received our high school diplomas. After that, so for me, when I was growing up, I always had a really big focus on education. So I had always planned on going to college, and I came to prison instead. And so I believed at that point that I would have an opportunity to further my education. And when FEP started doing classes, even though they weren't accredited, I started doing those, and they were just amazing. And eventually we got accredited, and I'm thankful. I can't ever say how thankful I am for FEPS and being able to continue with my education. I believe that is what is going to help me have a successful life when I get out of prison. So, that's me.
My name is Oliver, and I was incarcerated at 14, and I received a 22-year sentence. And when I got sentenced, I actually got the opportunity to go to Echo Glen Children's Center first, which is a juvenile rehabilitation center, until I turned 18 and a half. So I went there and I was able to receive my high school diploma, and then I got transferred here when I was 18, and I actually had the opportunity to, when I first got here, get enrolled in some TCC classes doing human services, and then later I got to do the horticulture program. And then after that, my education kind of went a little stagnant because I was sitting on some AmeriCorps money that I received 2 scholarships, almost close to $5,000. But unfortunately, because of the environment that we weren't able to have college classes, I wasn't able to continue with my AA degree. So when TESC came along and met with us in the village, it was a great opportunity to get on board to not only help myself get an AA degree, but also help the other women here. I definitely feel passionate about education because I believe that when we get out and we're able to stand on a degree, that we're less likely to reoffend. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And so ever since, that's what I've been doing, is working hard at getting my AA, and hopefully soon I will, after that, pursue my BA.
So we're really hoping that this could be a roundtable and would love, your participation. And we have brainstormed, a couple of questions that we thought that we could sort of talk about. But if you guys have any questions or if you want to add anything to the conversation, we really hope that you'll join us. So the first one were, what were some of the barriers that you all faced in trying to get your education, both when you were under 18 and afterwards? And how has education impacted you?
Well, I know for me, it was hard for me to receive an education prior to TESC because all of the scholarships offered at the time were only for those inmates and offenders who had a smaller sentence, so they were getting released sooner. So even the college classes offered through TCC, I wasn't able to take those because you had to have at least a minimum of 7 years left. Well, even when TESC program was first started talking about, there was the question of whether or not they were going to adhere to the policies of TCC and only allow people with 7 years or less to take the classes, because some people in the community are under the assumption that why educate people that aren't going to get out anytime soon. But laws are always changing. Like just in the past year, they've changed the juvenile law to where now every single one of us are going to be out within a year or two or a few. And so if I pursued the education in, I wouldn't be walking out of here with an AA. And so now I can become a productive member of society. But it was a struggle, and so that was my experience.
And just to clarify, who aren't aware of some of the Department of Corrections policies, Tacoma Community College is contracted by the Department of Corrections to offer adult basic education and some vocational certificates here. And currently, only people who have 7 years or less left on their sentences are able to participate in those programs. So that's why Gail wasn't able to participate.
So what's kind of different for me, I was actually able to participate in 2 different vocational programs that were offered by TCC, just because I was on a waiting list, and then a spot opened and they plugged me in. Not everybody is lucky. I got lucky. So I did, like Miriam, I did horticulture. I also did business technology.
I think for me, I was very fortunate that I had a counselor who's in the room there, Arlene Scott Young. And she, when I was at Echo Glen, she actually came here and kind of navigated for me. So was able to make contact and for my education. But when I got here, upon arrival, I was able to get into some educational classes and also be a teacher's aide for one of the GED classes. So that's how I got my foot into the door.
And what about has had an impact on
Okay, well, so education has been huge in my life. I was horrible in here. I came in here with the expectation that I'd probably never get out of prison. And even though I would do good for like a year, I would just, who cares? And so I was constantly in this fight with administration, fight with my peers. I was just angry at the world, and I had no guidance. I didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and I didn't really care. And I spent many, many years in segregation. I was even at one point sent out of state to Arizona. And then I was given the opportunity to come back. And it was at that point that I decided that regardless if I'm out or not, I had to be happy with who I am, where I am. And so I started getting involved in a program we have here called The Village, and it's women that support one another, and then started getting involved in the non-accredited classes at the time, and just being able to focus on something bigger than myself in this environment was what changed me in my life. And so I've become a peer mentor. I am encouraging of everybody who can get into school now to do it, because not only does it give you a future as far as your career when you're released from here, but it changes your mind. It changes the way you think, and it's changed my whole life. So I'm very passionate about education. Do you guys have questions for us, or?
So we have a couple of microphones set up, so please don't be shy. Let's go ahead to the microphone. Anybody else?
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here with us and sharing stories with us.
We can't hear you.
Hold on.
Here, talk a little louder.
No.
It's getting signal. I can't see.
This is the other mic. Is that volume okay? So we might have to use this mic instead.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, sorry.
Not a big deal.
Noreen, Mike, come on down. Good afternoon. This is Noreen. Can you hear me now?
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Gail, I liked what you had to say about how education changed the way you think. And was it Gail? I'm sorry, it's the person on the right. Okay, the person on the right, yes. And you talked about how you became a peer mentor, and it changed from you fighting with administrators, fighting with peers, to being a peer mentor, and I'm assuming a leader in a positive way. So I'm wondering if either of the other two of you would like to say something about, in the same vein, you know, how do we speak to people who say, well, they're not getting out for so many years, so it doesn't really matter if we give them further education. What are the stories that we can tell legislators and policymakers and others about how education is important, whether you're in or out? Thank you.
So one of the stories that they just whispered for me to tell. So last semester we had a math final. So Math 107 and College Prep 2 class, we had a math final scheduled on the same day. So we were all getting ready to leave. Keep in mind, FEPS has a green and blue book bag, Seahawks colors, go Seahawks. And we were waiting for movement. Well, next thing you know, a fight broke out in the institution. So we all got sent back to our unit, and we were like devastated. We're all panicking. So then they called new normal, and then they called movement. Well, we started running. Well, they called a cease movement because of the fight. And the counselor was like, what are you guys doing? She thought that we were going to go look to see what happened, to see the fight. But we're like, no, we have a math final. So she was like, wow, we got one campus of people in close custody, CCU, fighting, and then we have the other side of the campus trying to get an education. So as FEPS has continued on through the years now, we have created a culture here that everybody is wanting to pursue their education. It is amazing to see so many people that have gotten in trouble, have gotten major infraction, that are now turning their lives around because they see so many of us doing the same things, and now they see that it's achievable, and it's something that is possible. So, and we know that education, when you educate people, it changes their mindset and their behavior. And when you change behavior, you know, you change people from not returning to prison and that mentality that their only way of life is fighting or getting in trouble. So we're creating that culture that there is something different and you can try something different. A lot of times what ends up happening is people get stuck, like they can't change and they only know what's comfortable to them. So this environment, now we're creating an environment where is something different. And even though it's uncomfortable at times and, you know, schoolwork may be hard, they are seeing the benefits of achieving, finishing a class and achieving these small goals that they may have for the bigger thing, which is their AA degree, and being successful and getting out of a lifestyle that may have led them down a road of destruction.
I would also add, because we get asked this question a lot, you know, why do we have people who have like the possibility to enroll in our program? And I would just add that, you know, a lot of the leaders at the prison, maybe you guys can talk about the village, a lot of the leaders at the prison and the people who set the tone for the entire culture of the prison are the people who have really long sentences. So if we're trying to change the culture of an institution, if we're trying to make this institution safer, then, you know, it makes absolute practical sense to include them in the program, other than just sort of the, you know, other reasons about how everyone should have the right to an education. The other thing that I would add is the repercussions of educating a woman and how she can inspire her children and help them go to school. We have a lot of mothers in our program, and you know, I hear time and time again that they really enjoy taking classes because they can talk about their children, talk about their classes with their children who may also be taking English 101. So I think, you know, I think is also really useful, particularly when talking with legislatures.
Yeah, legislatures. I know for me, it's been an experience because I grew up in here. So the culture that you see in here is usually the energy is focused either on relationships or drugs or playing pinochle all day long and cards in the day room. And so now you're seeing the atmosphere in the unit where you have, instead of everybody on the weekend, pinochle, they're the math equations and solving statistic problems or having discussions on gender stereotypes and trying to figure out how to get through the readings of Michael Foucault. And so it's, and then like people are interested in it. So they come to the table to see what we're working on, and then they get into it, and then they're able to take the classes and breed this, I don't know, passion here now.
And I think too, something else that we have seen a lot of, especially with people that we've known for a long time, is the difference that it's made in their self-esteem, how they feel about themselves, really valuing themselves, realizing that they can succeed at things. You know, we have a mutual friend who said, I never felt like I had a place, and my place is like I'm good at it. And I'm going to school till they tell me, please don't come back. So we've really seen the difference that it's made in people's lives. And one thing, like Gail said, too, is for people, educating people who have a long time, laws are constantly changing. Things are constantly happening. You know, Gail talked about the law that changed for juveniles. So if you think about it, the three of us could be all out within, you know, 3 to 5 years. Would you rather have us come into your community with a degree under our belt or uneducated? Like, I think that that's a huge point.
Yeah.
There.
That's a pleasure.
Hello, it's Talib again. We met earlier.
Hi.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Turn towards the front of the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. My question was, do you see at any point, any time, gaining your education within an institution actually helping in as far as reducing sentences, or is it helping the inmates more on an administrative side as well as a personal people level? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, can you repeat that question?
So prison is supposed to be this rehabilitation model, right?
Sure.
So we have women in prison that are getting their education and are receiving degrees.
Right.
Has that translated into a reduction of sentences, or like showing that, okay, I'm being rehabilitated and this is, you know, or maybe parole is granted or anything like that? Like, has there been benefits on the administrative side for you getting your degree?
So I know that for me, personally, going to the parole board next year, it's going to have a huge impact that I've been taking these college classes. So they're going to look significantly on that because I'm going to be able to articulate my way through society and be able to have a career for myself. And I know that we don't have the numbers right now, but I know statistically, people that have been through higher education while they're incarcerated, the recidivism rate is drastically lower. So the chances of somebody going to higher education while they're incarcerated, getting out, getting a job, being productive in society, they're less likely to start using drugs again and become another statistics coming back to prison.
I think one thing too, so we've talked about us being eligible for parole, but what a lot of people don't know is that Washington State no longer has a parole system. Last year, they only reinstated parole for juveniles who were convicted as adults. So a lot of the people who have a long-term, they're strictly taking these classes to better themselves. Not because it will help them, like, no matter how good you are or how much you do, like, it can't help you get out any sooner without the parole system.
I have a question. What can you tell us about Marcinia that she wouldn't want us to know? Just kidding, just kidding. Seriously though, could you tell us a little bit about the books that you've read, either in class or outside of class, that have changed your lives?
If mine was very
Oh, I'm
similar.
sorry.
So my question is really the same. Specific content. Was there an author, a book, a particular subject matter, much like what Chico's asking, that liberated you in some way, or that was most meaningful for you?
Oh, wow. Well, I think right now I'm, myself and Gail are in the gender studies class, which is very interesting. So I definitely have to say Michael Foucault and Louis Althusser have definitely been, I'm actually writing a paper right now that's due on Monday on how children's books are, how they gender stereotype and use children's books to basically solidify those gender roles that are often played in society as male, female, and whatnot. So I definitely think those are the two big ones right now.
I know for me, it was years ago, I took a class by Professor Smithers, and he was teaching capitalism, and we were reading about Marxist theory, and there was a book, I can't remember the name of it, Capitalist Realism, or something similar, but anyway, it was showing me how we are a product of what society wants us to feed into. So it was eye-opening for me to see that things that I think are my own thoughts, or things that I think are me as an individual, are ingrained in me when I'm a small child, or how I'm just becoming a product of what society wants me to be, to feed into, even DOC itself. It's a huge corporation where tons of people are making money off of us, and the industry that goes behind DOC, and to just be able to recognize that there's so many larger schemes out there, and like Occupy Wall Street, we talked about that, so that was interesting to me. But there's so much stuff. You know where to begin.
I know.
I think
Mary brought up A Rooms of 101, which is Virginia Woolf, and we read that in our English 101 class, and we were ready to throw that book across the room. But yeah.
It was really great because it was one of the first terms after I was hired, and I didn't really know a lot of our students very well, and I would come in and hear them, just lambasting Virginia Woolf, and it was really fun for me to see, and I think the experience of going through that really difficult reading really helped their sort of cohort of students really bond as students.
Yeah.
And even though they didn't like it, even though it might not have been as empowering of a subject matter, it was still empowering to go through that experience altogether.
Yeah.
One, speaking about books, I think what is interesting about TESC and bringing education in the prison is a lot of times the misconception is that we want to read about prison or talk about prison. In all actuality, we do not want to talk about prison because we live that life.
We know about prison.
We know about prison. So it's definitely amazing how the teachers come in with material that is challenging and is outside of this place, and there's a world outside of this place. So definitely.
Hi, my name is
Hi.
I hope you can hear me. So in your dream world, what classes would be offered? Like, what are the ones that you guys are really wanting that maybe aren't out there yet?
I would love to see more mathematics and science classes. So it's really hard to try to figure out how to work in here. But they're navigating. I think we're getting our first science class. It's going to be Earth and Environment.
But, environmental science next term.
Yeah. So I would love to see a lot more math classes offered. I was able to take Math 107, which is the statistics class, but pretty much that's the only one we're getting right now. That would be my thing.
Yeah. I'm really about science too. It's only sense, so I like that. Yeah.
I'm definitely.
Oh, history. I'm excited for when we get some history classes.
I'm definitely excited about science. When I was little, I always wanted to be a marine biologist, so it's nice to have a science class coming. And then I definitely want to go in the field of helping. I have the opportunity to be in Freehold, which is a Freehold theater program. So anything drama and doing screenwriting, because it has been very therapeutic for me. That's the fun side of education. So anything with drama and playwriting and stuff like that.
And just a quick plug, all of our classes are taught by volunteer faculty from local colleges and universities. So we try to offer one, starting next term, we're going to try to offer one humanities, one social science, and one natural science class every term. We have 3 trimesters a year. And if any of you are interested in teaching, you should contact me, because one of the limiting factors for how we decide classes is who we have to teach. So you can have the opportunity to have all of these guys in your class.
We make great students.
We do.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I'm not sure, but I believe you guys have some students from the universities like TCC or UPS. Are they coming into your classes and doing like peer classes? Is that happening?
So we have tutors who come for study halls.
Oh, okay.
But we don't have a mixture of campuses where students from like university campus coming in here, students sitting in on the same classes, but that is definitely something that TESC is interested in doing in the future.
Okay, because I've heard of that model being used in other prison and college programs. So could you just talk about like what value you would see in something like that, and like what kind of that programming would mean for you, and what it like how it would appeal to you?
Inside out.
So one of the challenges we face taking classes in here is our lack of resources. So we have no access to the internet or things that people usually utilize to do research on their papers or for further help or information. So I know that one thing that is exciting for me is that we have students that are able to take classes with us that are outside. They can go out and there's flyers. They can help and brainstorm together, like they can help utilize the research aspect of it, and then to just be able to feel like a normal student and not have to which we kind of feel in the most sense in our classes English students, but it's kind of nice to know that we're so removed from being in prison while we're taking these classes that we're able to navigate like in a normal sense with other people.
I think for me, what would be important, nice about having a mixture of the classroom is, well, let me back up. So a couple months ago, myself and Star had the opportunity to give some TEDx speeches, and my TEDx speech in particular is about breaking stereotypes and judgments with those releasing into the community. So with having students come in and having a mixture of outside students with inside students would be breaking some of those stereotypes and judgment that often people have about people in prison. So I think that would be my main advantage of having outside people coming in.
I think also just, you know, sort of running the program, we just want to make sure that any inside out class that we had, that students on the inside were held to the same rigorous standards as those on the outside, so that there was no sort of disparity or difference in experience in the class. You know, I think it can be done really well, but we just want to make sure that that everyone is held to the same standard and that everyone is taking the same class.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
All right, I like your eye makeup.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome. Hi, my name is Joy, and I was really intrigued by the when you all were talking about learning for learning's sake. You know, because we've been doing a lot of talking about taking these gateway classes and doing these classes so people can be prepared to enter college, et cetera, et cetera. So the emphasis has been a lot of discussion on outcome. But I like how you all were talking about that the learning and the excitement that you all are doing is based on the process of learning.
Right.
And that, you know, there's no reward, there's no carrot at the end of the stick. It's just having great conversations about Foucault in the middle of the prison yard or something. So can you just talk a little bit more about that notion of learning for learning's sake? Because one of the things, at least in my mind, is what happens when people go from the youth system into the DOC system and have long term. So why do you bother to learn anything if you're going to be in for 20 years? So can you respond to that in any kind of way?
So I think that one thing that happens, especially when a young person gets a long sentence, is it can kind of go one of two ways. Either you just stay in trouble for the rest of your term, or you get through your angry troublemaking stage like we did, and you think, you know what, regardless of where I'm at, what the circumstances are, I want to live my life the best that I can. And so I think that education gives people something to hold on to when they might not feel like they have anything else to hold on to. And, you know, like Gail said, learning opens your mind. It gives you a new way of looking at the world. You know, once you start getting an education, you're never going to look at the world the same. And knowledge is something that no one can take away from you, whether you go to segregation or whether you get out. No matter where you are, you have that education. No one can ever take that. So it gives you something to hold on to.
I think for myself, education has definitely helped me. You know, like I said, I had the opportunity to go to Evergreen, which is treatment-based, but coming here where things aren't as treatment-based or rehabilitation, education helped me heal and get through the process of that shame, those feelings that we often stuff and put away, you know, with dealing with crime issues and whatnot. So definitely education has helped me rehumanize myself as an individual and as a member of society, that, you know what, I'm still a good person and I'm not defined by my crime. So education has gave me the opportunity to relook at myself and redefine myself as the person that I know that I am designed to be. So definitely.
And like we had talked about a little bit earlier, is education, like, it helps build your self-esteem too. Because man, if you can understand Virginia Woolf, you can do anything. You know? It makes you look at yourself differently.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Marvelous answers. Thank you very much.
Well, I just wanted to say something. So when I got here, I got kind of lost in the system, and I didn't pay attention to world events. I didn't pay attention to what was going on out there. Very toxic. And I started getting into a lot of trouble, and they sent me to Arizona. They put me on an airplane. I remember flying down there, and there was 2 pilots, a lieutenant, and like 2 other officers, and they were all having conversations that had to do with green energy and taxes and healthcare and politics, and I've never felt more insecure in my life because I had no idea what they were talking about, and I didn't even realize at that moment that I had become so disconnected. So when I got to Arizona, I made it a priority to start educating myself in what was going on in the world. So I started listening to talk radio every single night, and Arizona's super Republican. So even though I didn't agree with all of their radio stations and the things they're saying, I was at least listening and starting to open my mind to, like, NPR. I love NPR now. I go to sleep every night listening to NPR and the things that go on in the world. So then when I came back here and there was no college classes at the time or anything, I felt like I was like a sponge trying to talk to get my hands on officers and volunteers and just trying to pick their brains on anything I could that had to do with outside of this institution. And I found it harder than you would think. Like, every stuck in the system in here, it's like that's all anybody wants to talk about is what's going on inside of here.
Right.
So these classes have really been important for me because it's been a channel for me to reach out and just like a sponge. I want to learn everything. So, and it makes me think about when I get out, I'm not going to be as insecure about talking. Like 5 years ago, I would have never got up here and talked to this panel of people.
A year ago.
I would never know what to say or how to articulate my thoughts, or I would have been intimidated with, what if they ask this of me? What am I going to say of this? And so it's given me a lot of confidence, and not just in here, but how I'm going to be out there.
Someone else.
Right on for your solid response. It's so amazing to Skype with all of you.
Hello.
Ella. And well, yeah, today we got to hear a little bit from some youth some men from Green Hill, right? We talked about testifying at the Supreme Court in Washington and writing letters to senators and affecting some policy around like their legal financial obligations and like getting to get a chance to have the record sealed so they can actually pay the restitution without, and also like around shackling. I'm curious if you guys have had any opportunities to work on impacting the policies that affect you and really affect all of us, and if there's any ways we could support, or I could support around that.
Well, unfortunately, and we wish that we could be more connected with some of the policy change and things that are going on in legislation. We are definitely always open for that. But I think a lot of times people utilize people that are already out there. Mm-hmm. So, but.
And also too, one thing that we've talked about a lot is women make up such a small percentage of the prison population that a lot of change that happens comes out of the men's institutions. And unfortunately, we're really not as linked in as we would like to be with things that are going on, like the law that passed for juvenile parole. We didn't really know much about it or hear much about it till like right before it passed, whereas, you know, the information was out there much longer than we knew about it. So I think that a lot of times we kind of get forgotten.
Oh no, I know that for me, when hopefully I'm released soon, I want to start helping the connections between like for today, what's going on with you guys out there, and just being able to bridge the communication of what's the conversation out there right now, and what is it that we can do in here to help fuel that, or to help with supporting it. Like, we all have support and family, but they live their own lives a lot of times until we tell them this is what's going on, or this is what we need from you. We kind of are just like in a shadow until we are being brought things. So is there something that you guys would like to see from us on our side, or that we could help in any kind of way with this?
Hi, ladies. My name is Pam.
Hi.
Hi. I love your smiles. Keep smiling.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that I would like to know from you is, are any of you mothers? Do any of you have children? No. Oh, okay.
I'm not a house at 14.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Okay. Well, no, but you know, there are women there that do have children probably that you are aware of. And I'm wondering what's happening to break the cycle, if there be a cycle, but just to help the children of women who are incarcerated. You know, are there strategies or things really being consciously, intentionally done to connect the mothers with their children? Because I'm hearing a lot about education, and there's no doubt that you're going to be really prepared and feel better about yourself and all with the education, but you're a whole person. So you have a family out there, you have children out there, and I know that's a big part of, you know, their lives. And so I'm wondering, maybe asking the teacher, or even you, if you see that, if there's any intentionality around making those connections with the children.
Well, okay, so we have a lot of, actually a lot of our programs that are offered here at WCCW are children-based programs, mother and child programs. So we have a lot of special events. We have the Girl Scout program, Boy Scouts program that meet both once a month. We have a mother-child games that meets once a month. We have visit room activities, and in the visit room, they can do skill building, and children are able to bring in their homework and work with their mothers with their schoolwork, so that way the mother is connected with the children's education goals or whatnot. And they also have parent-teacher conferences where mothers are able to connect and sign up with the children's teacher and have parent-teacher conference that way, so they can stay connected. And then we also have the EFV program, which is the Extended Family Visit Program, where mothers are able to have trailer visits with their children. So that's another way that they stay connected. And there's a lot of special events that are based around mother and children to stay connected. And we have the baby program, which is J Unit, and mothers that come in pregnant and meet the criteria to keep their child here in the institution. We also have that program as well. And they learn parenting skills, they have parenting classes, and they also, in the meantime, you know, have a full-time job and go to school, and they have caretakers and how to be responsible as a parent.
Great. Well, thank you for all you're doing to change the culture in your environment. I love what you said about you doing something outside of yourself. You know, when you decided, you know, the world was bigger than just you, and you were going to learn despite being, you know, where you are for some period of time. You just knew that there was something bigger than you, to do this for, you know, others. And so you're doing a great job, and thank you for teaching me, because I hear a lot about the men, but I didn't know that much about education that's going on, you know, in the prisons for women. So I wish you the best. Keep smiling, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is
Hello.
Hi. I believe it was mentioned that folks could volunteer to come and teach. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, as students, what recommendations would you have for any person who's volunteering. As far as like getting prepared to have that student-teacher, teacher-student relationship.
Don't be scared. Just come in and teach the class like, you know, you would any class anywhere else.
I think most of us realize how grateful we are to have this opportunity to take these classes to begin with. Like, we are aware that people in the community struggle financially to even take college classes a lot of times. And so we are not lost on the fact that this is a huge privilege that we have to be able to take these classes to begin with. So I think that we're very, very grateful to have people come in to begin with to teach to us. So yeah, we'll be very kind and pleasant, I promise.
I'm sure. As a follow-up question, there were 3 sort of subject areas that were mentioned. I heard math, science, and history. Those are all very broad topics, right? So and I think someone mentioned maybe marine biology. So if so if we're going to break down math or science and history, what specifically would you like to learn in those subject areas?
We're not picky. We're not picky. We'll take anything. We just want to learn.
I think science is really interesting. I think that because we were given the opportunity to take psychology and to be able to learn how our brains operate. So a lot of us, especially with chemical dependency issues or anger behavior issues that stem around our behavior, to be able to learn why we act the way we act or how to change the way we think, and then to be able to share that with other people motivates them to want to learn more about it. So I don't know, I know that for me that was really fascinating. And so I wanted to learn more and more and more about the brain and how the brain operates. So.
And there are some, the way that we choose classes is based on our transcription agreement. So, there are sort of like more introductory level classes, like we had to offer Psychology 100, which all of these guys took last term, before we can offer any of the more advanced classes. So in the winter term, we're going to be offering biology. Hopefully in the future, we'll be able to offer, neuroscience. Small steps. And for those of you who are students, we do also have volunteer opportunities to come in during study hall and help and tutor. So if you're interested, you can get my contact information from one of the organizers, or you can just go to our website. We're actually recruiting tutors for the fall, so now would be a great time to contact me.
Thank you very much.
So we should have a long of your name.
Hi guys, I'm Emily. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I didn't catch your name, but you're between star and the teacher. Like right there.
Miriam.
Oh, hi Miriam. You used a word, and I kind of wanted to talk about that a little more. You used the word, you were talking about education and that you felt rehumanized. And I think when you said that, the women in front of me, they were, like, all of us were like, wow, like there's something there. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that. And talk about, because it's almost contagious. I think in this room we can feel how important your education is to you and how special that is. And I think as students, a lot of us forget that. We forget how privileged we are to get that education. So if you could talk about what that means for all of you and what that word rehumanize meant for you.
Okay, so not to get touch, crying, but I'm in here for first-degree murder, crime that was committed at 14, and going through the whole process of judgment and dealing with shame and guilt of my crime and everything and the things that were said about me was hard, and those things constantly replayed through my head every single day, every time I laid my head on my bed, and I just knew I wasn't that person, and I didn't want people to look at me that way. And So education, like I said, just redefining myself definitely helped me just know who I am as a person, and I'm confident in the decisions that I make now at being 28. And I'm not the same person as I was at 14. And it's through education and just getting to know myself, the world, and how things work, manipulation, just all sorts of things that I was just able to just rehumanize myself pretty much. I didn't realize I was going to get touchy.
Well, I think we can both relate to how Miriam feels. With me, I think it was a little different in the sense that I think we all share the guilt of why we're here, and coming here so young, we're raised with this shadow that's oh, you are here for murder and this is the kind of person you are. But I took a horrible path in my incarceration, and for a while I was very angry and hostile and lost. And so, like, even now that I've been good for like 7 years, I still have people that want to judge me based on the angry person I used to be. But it's not that I was angry, I had a lot going on within me that I wasn't able to understand. And education has helped open up who I am as a person and be confident in it. So, I don't know, it makes you feel whole as a person and connected to what's out there versus in here.
Well, and not just feel whole, but it makes you feel like you can live up to being the person that you were meant to be. You know, we all made a mistake and felt like we were never going to be able to be the person that we were meant to be. And now, yeah.
I wasn't expecting to cry.
I know.
Hi, it's me again. Just want to share something with you. It's something you can do in class or out of class. But when I teach autobiographies, I teach them in terms of lessons learned and wisdom earned from the hills and valleys of your life. Right? Which is a whole different, and that's how the ancient Egyptians used to look at life, and the many indigenous people, in terms of not what we did down here, but what did we learn from up there, and how can we take that learning and share it with somebody else. So as you're thinking about your autobiographical past and stuff like that, it feels, I want you to applaud yourself for getting to that point of not being stuck in the in the trauma and the grit and stuff like that. But what did I learn, and how can I share that with someone else so that the world can be better, so that I can contribute to the common good, And so so when you start to get caught in that stuff, think about it. Think about that you have been blessed with some wisdom. You've been blessed with some lessons, and you're sharing them with us today, and it's feeling really good. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So we know that your time is limited, and we're very grateful.
I need to say goodbye.
I was going to give you the last word. I always give you the last word. So before she asks the last word, thank you so much for being such dedicated students and for being our teachers today. This won't be forgotten. Thank you.
They'll think we were in a relationship. So Miriam, you need to learn to cry pretty, because that was not pretty. Okay? You hear me? You need to learn to cry pretty. Okay, I want you to work on that.
I don't like to cry.
I want you to work on that for the next time we Skype you in and you get emotional. Okay, because I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
I can't stand you.
Starlight, I adore and love you, and just keep doing what you're doing. You as well, Gil. Tell Tata hello for me, and you guys keep going to school. I want you to know I graduated, I got my bachelor's, and I'm going to probably go to the law program. Star, when did you start this?
I'm hugging you. I'm hugging you.
I'm hugging you back. I love you. I'll see you guys shortly.
Take care. Love you. You're so fun.
Goodbye.